Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Greetings, dear friends. I thought I'd come to you live as a little change from all the fancy videos coming out on our channel about the QAWWALI film series, about our music school and all this, and just tune in directly in a little more personal way without the lights and stages and kurtas and 4K videos and audios and all that stuff. And just first off, express my gratitude for all of you that have been diligently following our work as Fanna-Fi-Allah and Sufi Soul and Tahir Qawwal and all the projects going on. Yeah, it means a lot to us to be able to share what we do across borders and to be so well received. It's just so precious, the medium and all of the way that our fans, especially in India and Pakistan and Europe and from the communities from which this music originally comes, Qawwali or Shastriya Sangeet. Yeah, so thanks for all the encouragement and following us. And I, as a personal note, I stopped reading comments for the most part years and years ago, because in those early days, I think it was when our Hazaris at the Dargah of Baba Farid Shakarganj Rahmatullah Alayhi there in Pakpatan first came out on YouTube before we even had a channel. It must have been 12 years ago or something. That, it was really fun to read the comments, and people would say stuff like, where are these people from? Are they from Russia? Because we had those Bakara topis at that point, and that was always really interesting, and to hear all the encouragement and curiosity when we first hit the internet in that way. But then there was that risk of 20 comments down, somebody saying something really rude or unkind, or like a bit of a threat, and this is haram, or that kind of stuff that you can imagine as an artist we have to deal with. And it's not always very encouraging. It's already hard enough, doing what we do, and the work and the struggle and the learning behind that is, it's huge. So thanks for all your kindness and encouragement, and just the presence of watching the journey as we all explore and learn this great music and the inner journey that accompanies that of the soul and of the heart to God. And I pray everybody is healthy and happy out there, and taking this quarantine time in stride, making use of it as a time of inward reflection, as a time to study, to be with the family, deepen a connection with our families, just as we all are, not being able to tour the way we normally tour. And I pray that, since it is the time of Ramadan, it's a very introspective time of humility and devotion and study, and so it's been very precious for us. So I hope it's very precious for you, and you're making use of it in that way. I did read some comments recently on the channel, and there are hundreds of thousands of comments. Thank you for those. Sorry I can't read them all. And one of the things that comes up a lot, other than mashallah, 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 heart, thank you for those, is people are like, oh, when are you coming back to perform in Hoshiarpur? When are you going to play in Nagaur? When are you going to be in Bahawal Nagar? Like all the different cities, especially in India, because of the population in India. There's a huge following there. Namaste, India. And we've been touring in India for 25 years now, and we've been to hundreds and hundreds of these cities. So when somebody's like, oh, when are you playing in such and such a town, Hoshiarpur or something, we're like, we've played there 3 times already in the last few years. So we have been a lot of places, and I want to acknowledge that call to be sharing our qawwalis and our music in your town, and appreciate the invitation a lot. And this video other than just like a friendly, heartfelt check-in with our following for the first time here on the live stream of YouTube, is that we've had a lot of issues recently in India touring, unfortunately, and it's made it so we're not going to be able to do that for a few years now, actually. And like I said, it's been 25 years of touring in India from town to town, to village, and it's been amazing. And it's been the same for us in Pakistan, year after year, going to all the different places and exploring it through every province and dargah, from like stage performances at the Royal Opera House of Mumbai, to like playing at like the Dargah of QAWWALI Shah Kalandar there in Panipat. Like, the diversity is really special, and the way that we've been received has been exceptional. But yeah, like in our film, The Music of the Mystics, you see one of the sincere intentions behind that, and why we do it is because it's a deep honor to present the music and the culture of Qawwali to the world in the way that we received it and appreciated it so much, and still do. And so the idea behind it is that of sharing that side of Pakistan, that side of India that most people aren't exposed to in the West, inside of the dargahs, inside of the homes of these great masters that have inspired us, and the Sufi saints, the places, the people right in there. And that's been the intention there. And in that process, it helps to educate the international community, which is a lot of our connection and friends and family too. In the West, it shows them like a very beautiful side of these places, the Islamic and Sufi culture of India and Pakistan, which is important, obviously. As you know, there's mixed opinions about it. So showing this beautiful and artistic and deeply evolved musical and spiritual culture feels very precious. It's moved us so much, as you can see. But in recent times, in our last tours, like I said, we've toured a lot of cities in India, and people say, well, what are the challenges of doing what you do? There must be lots of challenges, and it's not something I like to dwell on. Like really have a positive perspective. And if you've seen any of the interviews online, or just from the way that we've presented it in the story of the film series Music of the Mystics, you see that it's presented in a very positive light, and that's how I've liked to keep it. And people are like, so what are the challenges and all that? And it's not something I've gone into. I mean, there's obvious challenges of for example, touring in Pakistan. We've been around when there were suicide bombings and assassinations and things like that while we were in towns where that was happening. Whether it was like when Benazir Bhutto was killed, we were right there in Lahore, or when there was a suicide bombing there at Data Darbar during the Urs. We were actually playing at the Urs that year, also in Lahore. And the first time we brought the group to Pakistan, there was that major bombing there in Damadola. And then when we were going to play in Muzaffarabad in Kashmir like 2-3 years ago, there was that huge shooting. So yeah, there is those things. And it's also, there's been a lot of stuff like that in India as well on tour, despite the challenges, like you can imagine as a Westerner, even though I understand the language and the culture because I've lived there most of my life and been interacting with the people of that culture for the most part. There's the whole business side that's very hard to bridge the gap of the East and the West. There's, the very high ideal that is both in India and Pakistan, in the subcontinent overall, of having that a religious and spiritual, we could say persona, or just like an ideal that's very important because it's built up over generations of this is what is right, this is what's ethical, this is what's our deen, this is our religion here. and then there's the behind the scenes of what people really feel, what really they think about you or about life, and it's hard to see behind that veil a lot of times. So when it comes to business, when we're representing ourselves and going on all these tours and actually doing concerts, like public concerts, which a lot of people want so that they can actually attend these concerts in all the towns, like playing in theaters and universities and stuff like that. There's all, the typical situation where we're like to our host, like, so are you gonna cover the hotel costs and our flights or our train to get to the town? They're like, oh, Tahir, bye. Don't worry. Inshallah, tomorrow we will give you the cost back for the, stuff like that. And that inshallah can go for weeks and months and years into oblivion. So, there's obviously all those kind of challenges on top of just the variables of being a 7-person group traveling across India and often in Pakistan, and often touring, performing in a different city every day to make use of whatever it is, 6 weeks at a time for which we are on tour in the subcontinent. So yeah, there's a lot of funny stories that do tap into that. What are the challenges of your path and profession? Some of them not so pretty, and that's why I like to say that. I think what's going to happen now, I mean, as touring opens up back in a few months, instead of doing the typical big concert tour of India and Pakistan, we're going to take some time, probably 2-3 years to go underground again, which means just showing up at the dargahs, at the mandirs, at the Mahfil-e-Sama, in different places where there's no advertisement, there's no ticket sales, there's no promotion, there's no big sound system, there's no promoter, there's no social media around it, so that we can offer the music in its true setting. And that's what we've always loved the most, and we've done for most of our lives. Like I said, we've been to so many beautiful dargahs and samas across the subcontinent, ones that a lot of people don't even know of. You just find a small little dargah somewhere, and it will be a beautiful spiritual place to share the Qawwali message, the andaz, in a setting of devotion, of safety, of prayer. And that's always been the best. So we're going to go back to exclusively doing that for a while, because on our last tour of India, I think we had something 25, 30 shows, and I was almost killed. And I haven't told anybody this because I don't like to dramify or make people fear India. For example, my mom or, anybody would be like, why are you going to Pakistan? What are you doing there? Isn't it dangerous? And I was almost killed. This is just a little over a year ago. And there was a run-in with a mob of men when I was on my own there in Himachal Pradesh. Hi, Alia. And I got beaten up very, very badly, and still ended up having to play the show that night in Ludhiana or wherever it was, but it was very scary. And luckily I was able to use the music, be able to sing some songs, some bhajans, and some fill songs to actually keep the mob from being too upset and go the full distance. This is Alia, my daughter. Alia ji. And then, so that was very, very difficult, and we did have to finish the tour from there, and took a while for my body to bounce back. And then the year before, we were playing at a multi-faith ashram in Punjab, and we got completely robbed, like when we were on stage, like everything we owned. So that's also was a very, very difficult thing to deal with. So for that reason, it feels like it's a lot more beneficial to be able to share our work and our message, whether it's just sitting under a tree for a few people in a village like we have, or showing up to the dargah unannounced and offering get some chocolate there, offering the Qawwali in its traditional setting. We're going to stick to that for a while, so just in response to everybody's kind requests for us to play in their towns. They're well received and well appreciated, and we hear you, and we look forward to coming back to all these beautiful places to share what we do with you. Again, I'm seeing some comments there before I go. Looks like people just want to hear Qawwali. So, sing a little Anat Sharif for a minute. You want to sing with me, Alia? Okay. खत मेरे स्वर खत मेरे स्वर मकी मादानी खत मेरे स्वर मकी मादानी कौन में तुम सब कोई नहीं कोई नहीं खत मेरे स्वर. Anyway, lots of love and lots of salams to all of you out there. Thank you for following our work, and keep safe, keep healthy, and keep sharing the love and support to your neighbors and all the people that need you. I look forward to hearing your comments on this. It's the first time I've done one of these live things, and otherwise stay tuned for the next exciting Qawwali video coming up soon on the channel. Lots of love. Khudafiz and Allah khair kane.